Okay. So what do we have? We have Crucial Conversations featuring Dave McGhee from Buffini and Company. Now, I want to remind you that our promise to you. We have Royal LePage. We are here to help you maximize your earning potential. We provide you with powerful business tools, access to leads and referrals, and training for all stages of your career that will build your skills. So a word about our presenter today. Dave McGhee. Dave first joined Buffini and Company as a certified business coach in 2006, and he has helped hundreds of small business owners maximize their potential, increase their income, and achieve more balance in their life. He is now Vice President of Coaching and Mentorship, or Vice President of Coaching and Membership, where his years of business, real estate, and coaching experience make him a powerhouse leader. In his time away from the office, he enjoys playing with his two dogs, Roxy and Diggory, and watching his beloved San Diego State Aztecs. So without further ado, I would like to hand this over to Dave, and he is going to get us started, and he's going to tell us all about the keys to success in challenging markets.
Well, thanks, Stephanie. I'm excited to be here and excited to join some great Royal LePage agents and brokers and managers on this call. Royal LePage is a friend of Buffini and Company for sure, and I'm hopeful and assuming that we have some of our members on the call today, and so I am excited to be here. And I am excited to share with you some keys to success in challenging markets. I know the markets have been a little bit unnerving up in the Great White North. It's some interesting things have happened that you don't typically see in Canada, and that is Vancouver and Toronto going in a couple of different directions. And I know there's reasons for that. And then the middle of the country, kind of the stalwart that it always is. It's kind of a steady Eddie market. Although I know in Alberta you've had some challenges that are kind of the result of what was going on with the oil industry. So it's an exciting time to be a real estate agent, and it can be an unnerving time to be a real estate agent. And Stephanie mentioned some crucial conversations, and I think that one of the keys to success in a challenging market is to be able to have crucial conversations with other agents, with your buyers and your sellers, and even at times with yourself. So what I'm hopeful to have happen on this presentation is that I'll leave you with 3 keys to success in challenging markets that will allow you to have crucial conversations and with your clients, with other agents, and with yourself. And I think that if you're able to implement and use the strategies that I talk about on this call, it will transform your business in a volatile market and in a normal market. So the 3 keys that we're going to talk about today, the keys to success in challenging markets are: number 1, perception is reality. Number 2, you can't control everything. And lastly, I want you to know that you have the golden ticket. If any of you have read the book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or seen the movies Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or the remake Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you know about the golden ticket. And in that movie and in that book, the golden ticket was a life-changing opportunity. For you, the golden ticket is an opportunity to transform your business. And really what that golden ticket is opportunity. So we're going to talk a little bit about how challenging markets actually create opportunity for you. But before we get into these 3 keys, perception is reality, you can't control everything, and you have the golden ticket, I want to give you a little idea on why you should listen to me. As I mentioned, I think we have some of our members on this call, and Royal LePage and Buffini and Company have had a great relationship for many years. But I know there are several of you, and maybe even many of you, 5 or 6 who don't know who Buffini and Company is, and who don't know who I am. And so before you take me at my word, I think I should give you a little indication of why you might want to listen to what I have to say. So for those of you who are familiar with Buffini and Company, you probably know my boss. That's him, Brian Buffini. I report directly to his brother, Dermot Buffini, who is the CEO of our company, and by default to Brian as well. And for those of you who don't know who Brian Buffini is, let me just share a little bit of his journey and the journey towards Buffini and Company. Brian was an Irish immigrant who came to the U.S. with $92 in his wallet back in the early 90s. Did odd jobs around San Diego, sold T-shirts at the beach, did some rehabbing for some real estate investors. And he said his real goal when he came to the U.S. was to get a suntan and to meet suntan women. Well, as he was doing these odd jobs, as fate would have it, he got into a motorcycle accident and had to have 7 surgeries. And at the end of those surgeries, he found himself $250,000 in debt. So here's an Irish immigrant with $92 in his wallet, $250,000 in debt. He talks about times opening up his refrigerator and the only thing in the refrigerator was a grapefruit, and that had to last him a week. So with his back up against the wall, with absolutely no money and $250,000 in debt, no real discernible skills, he did what most of us would do. He went and got a real estate license. And he got into the real estate industry. And he was trained in the traditional real estate methodologies of cold calling, door knocking, expired and FSBOs, all of which are still in practice today, but were much more prominent back in the early 90s. And he hated every minute of it. And he said there had to be a better way. And so he thought back onto his upbringing, and his grandfather and his father ran a painting business. And all of their business came via word of mouth and referral. So he looked at what his grandfather and his father were doing to generate business, and he said, if I do that, if I am intentional about building a working by referral business, I'm sure I can have success, and I won't have to use any of the methodologies that don't sit well with me. And so he started working by referral, and real quickly, within about 3 years, became the top selling agent in his company in the United States. And soon after that was being asked by his brand to speak to other markets. And then soon after that, other brands were asking for him to come speak to their agents. And so he saw a real need in the marketplace for a better way to do business. And so he sold his real estate company to a man who was our first member and is still a member at Buffini and Company. And then Brian started Buffini and Company. Our mission is to impact and improve the lives of people. And we do that by teaching a working by referral system. Our main clientele are real estate agents and lenders, but we coach 47 different industries in 31 different countries. So I'm often asked what it's like to work for Brian Buffini, and what I tell people is it's a lot like working for Willy Wonka. And I think if you look closely, you might just see the resemblance. Now, I know what you're thinking. If Brian's Willy Wonka, then Dave, that makes you an Oompa Loompa. And no, I am not an Oompa Loompa. I am Slugworth. And I don't know if you remember Slugworth from the movie, but Slugworth was the guy who really knew what went on inside the mind of Willy Wonka. Slugworth was the guy who got to witness the inside operations of the chocolate factory day in and day out. And what Slugworth really knew is what went on inside the walls of the chocolate factory was better than anything anyone could ever imagine. And that's what I know. This is our corporate headquarters in Carlsbad, California. It's one of 4 buildings on our campus. I like to call it the Brain Center. It's because it's where I work. It's the housing to our coaching department. And we have 57 coaches on staff who, as I said, help business owners in 47 different industries in 31 different countries to build a consistent and predictable source of business through a working by referral methodology. And we've had some great success in that over the years. In fact, our average client in 2016 earned $358,000. The average client who's been with us 3 to 5 years earned $399,000, and the average client who's been with us 10 years or longer earned $487,000 in 2016. So we have a methodology and a system of proven success. And those numbers have increased steadily over the last 20 years. We've been in business helping businesses for 20 years. Over those 20 years, we have made 1.6 million coaching calls and 890,000 hours of coaching small business owners. And what that equates to is that each of our business coaches, the average tenure of a business coach at Buffini Company is 10 years. Our average coach has been with us 10 years. Now we have some coaches that have been with us 20 years, some coaches who have been with us, they're in their first year, but on average it's 10 years. And our average coach has 14,000 hours business coaching experience. They say mastery happens at 10,000. The reason I'm bringing this up is I want you to know what I'm sharing with you is information that we've uncovered over 20 years of coaching small business owners to success. We're not working out of our garage. We're not making up our content. This is all researched and practical information that we share with our members. And so today I'm happy to share it with you. And again, the 3 keys that we're going to discuss today, and you can use these, these are the keys to success in challenging markets, but the truth is they're the keys to success in any market. So if you're in one of the middle markets of the country right now and you're saying, hey, we're kind of in a normal market, and it's not so challenging, this will absolutely work for you. But if you're in one of the challenging markets right now, or you find yourself challenged in the market that you're in, this will absolutely work for you. So again, it's perception is reality. You can't control everything, and you have the golden ticket. So let's talk a little bit about perception. Albert Einstein said this: reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. And what does that mean? It means that you create your reality. Whatever you believe to be real is real. And I want to give you just a tangible example of that. And I know that we can't talk back and forth right now, but I want you to take a look at this picture and tell me what you see. And if you look closely at this picture, what you see is a walkway where a chunk of the walkway has been taken out. And it looks, because of the sand there, that they're ready to replace the chunk of this walkway. What if I told you that there is no chunk taken out of that walkway, and that the chunk that you see off toward the right of the screen is actually the same level as the walkway? In fact, that is the entire walkway. It's a drawing on the walkway made to appear three-dimensional. And so if you look at that, your perception is that a chunk of the walkway is taken out. But the truth is, it's a flat walkway. Perception is reality. And so if you find yourself in a challenging market, and I'm going to use the Toronto market for an example because I think it's something that everybody can identify with at some time, and that is a shortage of inventory. And it's easy to say there is a shortage of inventory, but I would challenge you that there is no shortage of inventory in Toronto, and any market for that matter, which is characterized as a seller's market. I'd love you to change your perspective about that. And so I know some of you are working in the Toronto market right now, and you're saying to yourself, Dave, you're not working in this market. There is absolutely a shortage of inventory. And here's where I'd like to challenge your reality. Inventory are homes. There are no shortage of homes in Toronto. What there are a shortage of homes available for sale. So the truth is, homes are inventory. Not enough of them are available for sale. The perspective I would love for you to change is that, and my job is to help compel people who have homes to sell homes, to create my own inventory. In Vancouver, a different challenge exists for you because of some government intervention. Not all of the, but a large chunk of the foreign investment has dried up, and now the market has come almost to a screeching halt. Prices are in a little bit of a declining mode right now. And it would be easy to say the market is stalled because of government intervention. But the truth is, there are a lot of Canadian buyers who were unable to buy because of the foreign investment, who have been sitting on the sidelines and they want to buy. And they don't know now is a good time to buy. So your job, we don't have a market that has been stalled by government intervention. Instead, we have an opportunity to go inform people who want to buy homes of the availability to buy homes. Perception is reality. And if you want to change your reality, you need to change your perspective and change your perception. And that brings us to the second point, and I've already talked a little bit about it. There is always an opportunity. In every marketplace, there's an opportunity. And if you can change your perspective, it allows you to see the opportunity. So what's the opportunity in your marketplace? In Toronto, the opportunity is to go create your own inventory. What do most real estate agents hope will happen? Most real estate agents hope that somebody will call them and want to list their home. That's not going to happen in a market where people are not putting their homes on the market to sell, in a seller's market. The truth is, you'll have to go out and convince people that now is a great time to sell. One great way to do that is to use your buyers, and we'll talk a little bit about that here later down in the presentation. But I want you to see the opportunity where most real estate agents are going to lament the shortage of inventory. I want you to see the opportunity to go out and create your own inventory. In Vancouver, where most real estate agents are going to complain and lament about government intervention, I want you to see the opportunity to go inform buyers about the opportunity that's in front of them. And in the middle markets, it's the same thing. Regardless of your market, there is a challenge that you perceive. I want you to change your perception. Your challenge becomes your opportunity. Human nature is this. Most of us are going to do what the herd does. The successful people are going to do the opposite of that. So if most agents are lamenting the lack of inventory, go create your inventory. If most agents are lamenting the fact that their prices are dropping, go show buyers the opportunity. If you're in a normal market and you've got to list, they're sitting for a little longer than 30 days, see that opportunity. And we'll talk a little bit more about setting expectations with your buyers and sellers in a minute. But you need to change your perspective. You need to see the opportunity. And frankly, you need to embrace that role. As I said, most people are going to do what's easy. Most people are going to complain about their situation and hope that it gets better, and they're going to ride the waves of the market. What most people want, most people in the real estate industry, most people want to go into the office that day, have someone call them, tell them exactly what they want. They want an order, and then they want to fulfill that order. There is a place where you can have a job that does just that. You open the door, you wait for somebody's order, and you fulfill that order. And that place is called Tim Hortons. Real estate is not that place. But most real estate agents want to operate as if they were operating a Tim Hortons. They want to operate as if they were operating a retail business. So your opportunity is to embrace your role and be a business professional. Seek out buyers, seek out sellers, while most of the agents are waiting. So I hope that makes sense. Point number 2 in the 3 keys to success in any challenging market is that you cannot control everything. Jim Rohn is a man that I followed through most of my career and was a friend of Buffini Company and spoke at many of our events. And he said this: you cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself. And that's something you have charge of. So again, we mentioned in the East Coast, they have one type of market. In the West Coast, they have another type of market. In the middle of your country, there's a more normalized market. And what people are hoping for is the change of market. And people will come to Buffini Company all the time and ask us what we foresee the future to be. Here's what I can promise you. And I take this from Jim Rohn too. Spring will always follow winter. Winter will always follow fall, and fall will always follow summer. There will be times of economic boom followed by times of economic recession. There will be sellers markets and there will be buyers markets. The thing is, you cannot control that. You cannot control the government intervention on the West Coast that has caused prices to fall and stopped foreign investment. You cannot control the fact that it is a seller's market on the East Coast. And so the key is to not get caught up in that. You have to focus on what it is you can control. And what can you control? Well, you can control three things. You can control lead generation. You can control your client expectations. Now, you may not be able to control them, but you can set and manage them. And you can control consistency. So consistency plays a role in both of the first 2 points that we talked about: lead generation, client expectations. So let me talk a little bit about lead generation. Most people, their idea of lead generation is, I'm going to do something when I need money. The key to lead generation is that it is constant and consistent. So the trap of the old methodologies of cold calling, for sale by owners, working with expireds, even direct mail to a certain extent, is that it's a strategy I'll put in place when I need to generate a lead. So if I have a shortage of listings, what am I going to do? I'm going to focus on for sale by owners and I'm going to focus on expired until I build up my listing inventory. But then what happens is most people stop that for sale by owner or expired listing lead generation until they sell their listings, and then they go back to it. It's the same largely with direct mail, door knocking, and cold calling. The key to lead generation is that you have a consistent lead generation. And I want to do a little math with you. So if I were to use have a farming neighborhood, a good farming neighborhood, I'd be sending out 2,500 mail pieces a month. And over time, just by the fact of a certain percentage of people will sell in a neighborhood every month, if my sample size is big enough, I've got 2,500 people, and I'm consistent in my messaging, I'm going to get business out of that. Now, the key to that is the consistency. But I want to share with you a number here. What if instead of marketing to 2,500 people every month, you marketed to only 100 people? But you marketed to 100 people who knew you, liked you, and trust you. And over time and through your consistency, they wanted to refer you. Gallup polling has shown that on average, each of us knows 250 people. But let's assume we all only know 100. If I know 100 people and I market to those 100 people and they know 100 people, what I'm really marketing to is 10,000 people. So the key to lead generation in any form is that it's consistent. So there are two things that in all marketing that you want to focus on. It's reach, how many people am I reaching, and frequency, how often am I touching those people. When you focus on a smaller group of people who know you, like you, and trust you, and you're consistent in your lead generation, you'll actually have more reach. Focusing on 100 people who know 100 people allows me to reach 10,000 people. And it's easier to be consistent. It's easier for me to consistently market to people, 100 people, than it is for me to consistently market to 2,500 people. Now you might be saying, yeah, but Dave, if I'm doing lead generation to those 100, I'm mailing them, and I'm mailing to 2,500 people, and those 2,500 people know 100 people, so that number's bigger. The problem with that equation is the 2,500 people don't know you, they don't like you. Well, they might like you if they got to know you, but they don't know you, and because they don't know you, they don't trust you, so they're not likely to refer you. A certain percentage of them will do business with you, but they're not likely to refer you. And if you put a gun to my head and said, Dave, you can do business with everybody you know will buy and sell homes with you, but none of them will refer you. Or everybody you know will refer you, but none of them will buy or sell a home with you. I will take refer me and never use me all day long, because they can refer me every single day. They're only likely to use me every 7 to 9 years when they're upgrading or downgrading their home, unless they're an investor And we've seen what happened on the West Coast to investment properties. So why am I beating this drum? If any of you know Buffini and Company, you know that our focus is on building a working by referral business by targeting the people that know you, like you, and trust you. We believe it is the single best form of lead generation. Identify 100 of your biggest advocates, people who have done business with you in the past, people who know you, like you, and trust you, people who are currently doing business with you, and then stay focused with them and consistent cross-channel marketing system, mailing an item of value every month, sending an important email every month, having a phone call and a face-to-face visit with those people every month. On a smaller group of people, more concentrated, it has proven to show greater results. Again, our average client last year, $358,000 in gross commissions. So, but whether you're working by referral or whether you're doing other types of marketing, the key that I want you to have with that is that you need to have a consistent lead generation. It cannot be, I'm going to mail something out this month. I might make a few calls this month. I'm going to door knock this month. All lead generation comes to point number 3. It's got to be consistent. Lead generation is reach and frequency. Now, the other thing that you do have control of in this market is setting and managing your client expectations. So here again, I'm going to look at Toronto right now. Here's what's happening to a lot of people in Toronto is they've got plenty of buyers to work with because buyers want to buy homes. There aren't enough homes on the market to sell. And those people are lamenting the fact that they're working with buyers because they don't have homes to sell them. So the key with this, and then you go, you know, we heard Stephanie was sharing a stat with me, and I think it was Windsor, that right now somebody on this presentation just said that homes are going for $30,000 over asking. And what's going to happen, if it hasn't happened already, is you'll be working with a buyer. They'll write a reasonable offer, maybe even full price, and they won't get the home. They'll be competing with 5 or 6 or 7 other people, and the home will be sold for over asking. And your buyers will get discouraged. And then you're in damage control. Well, the key is to have a crucial conversation, with all of your clients and let them know what the expectations are. In a seller's market, we cannot treat buyers like we would in any other market. We can't get a buyer lead and go show them a property without having a meeting with them first to set and manage their expectations. What'll happen is they will have a different expectation than what the market has, and conflict arises when expectations differ. So the key right now, and actually the key in any market, is to have set and manage very clear client expectations. Most people do it with their sellers. They won't list a home without having a seller presentation. And in that seller presentation, hopefully we're managing expectations. In Vancouver, if you're going on a listing appointment right now, sellers probably believe their home is worth more than it is because of what was happening before the government intervention. The key for you as a realtor is to be a professional and manage their expectations. You need to let them know what is happening in the marketplace, and you need to lead them down that process. Does that mean that you walk away from every listing that's going to be overpriced? Not necessarily. But you set those expectations up front, and if the client wants to overprice the home because based on what was happening before the slowing of foreign investment, then what we need to do is say, great, you know what, let's try that price for 14 days. But in 14 days, if we don't have a sale, let's have a price that we agree to move the house to so that we can get your home sold. We want to tie those sellers to their motivation. Nobody wakes up one day and says, you know, today's a great day to sell my home. I'm going to do some profit taking. They wake up to sell their home because there's something they want to accomplish. They want to move to an area that has better schools. They want to move near a park. They want to be closer to family. They want to finally buy in their dream home or downsize because they're empty nesters. We need to keep the seller tied to that motivation. So we need to manage client expectations. And on the buyer side, you know, if I'm working in a market like Toronto right now, I am not showing a buyer a home without having a sit-down meeting with that buyer in my office to go over what's happening in the marketplace right now. And I'm going to let the buyer know that, hey, here's what's going to happen. We're going to go see a certain number of homes. And if we write a full price offer, we're not going to get that home. I may have to come to you and suggest to you that you write an offer over full price because that's what the market is going to bear right now. And if that happens, we might not get an appraisal. And so I'm going to lay out all of the potential contingencies in advance. And then I'm going to let the buyer know we're going to experience turbulence. There's going to be some disappointment. You're going to fall in love with a house, write an offer, and not get it. I want you to know that right now. But my job is to stay the course and help you through the turbulence and help you to land safely. Now, some of the other things that I want to make sure that I have with my buyers right now is that they're prepared, that the financing is in place, that I have, depending on what the customs are in your local area, that I have their deposit check so I don't have to wait on a deposit check. So I can write the cleanest offer possible. And I want to set those expectations before we even look at homes. I might tell those clients in Toronto, hey, every day I'm going to send you every home that's on the market. And I'm actually going to call you every day and let you know what's on the market. And there will be days I call you and tell you there's nothing new on the market. In fact, there may be more days like that than not. But I want you to know that every day I'm looking for a home for you. And here's what I want you to know, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I want you to let your employer know that you're buying a new home. And you may have to leave your job on a moment's notice to go look at a home because it's the only one that comes on the market that day, and you don't want to miss out. And I want to set those expectations with my buyers. Now, not all buyers are going to be able to do that. And you need to focus on what you can control. You're going to work with the best buyers first, and the buyers who can't follow your expectations if you have time. And so we want to focus on what we can control: lead generation, client expectations, and all of it comes to consistency. I want to have a consistent process with every single buyer that I deal with, so that I can set their expectations. I want to have a consistent process with every single seller that I deal with, so I can set their expectations. I want to let them know what they can expect. With a seller, I want to make sure they know that they're going to hear from me every single week to give them an update on what's happened with their property. With a buyer, I want them to know that they're going to hear from me every single day to let them know what new properties are on the market and what I'm doing to help them get in their new home. And then I'm going to act on that consistently. So let me give you a little example of what one of our clients has done, Thomas Nelson. He's from San Diego. He's in our member of what we call the White Hat Society. It's we put on an event every year called the Peak Experience. It tends to be the top producers in our system that get together and network and get some high-level content from Brian Buffini. And they refer to each other as monkeys. So I'm bringing that up because you see, hey, monkeys, practicing what I preach. Instant inventory letters going out to our low inventory San Diego market. See you at peak in less than 4 weeks. So what Thomas does is we have a strategy in low inventory markets. So if you're in Toronto, you might want to write this down. And some people do this already. And here's what I guarantee you. I'm gonna share the strategy with you. And some of you are going to say, yeah, that doesn't work in our market. Trust me, it works if you work it right and you're consistent in it. But that's this. Thomas sends out a letter to 250 homes in an area that one of his buyers is looking to buy or sell. Now, the key to this working is that he actually has a buyer looking for a home in that area, and he's very specific in what he says in this letter. So if I were writing a letter, let's say I'm representing a young couple, Brian and Tiffany. They just had a new baby, and they're looking to move out of their condominium into their first single-family home so they can have more space for their growing family. And they're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, 1,500 square feet, and let's say they'd like a pool. We're in San Diego. Everybody wants a pool here. I'm going to write that in a letter. I'm going to look up 250 homes in that area, right around where Brian and Tiffany want to sell, and I'm going to send a letter to the owners of that property. Now, here's the key. I'm not going to put it on my letterhead. It's going to look like just a normal letter. If at all possible, I'm going to handwrite it, but if not, I'm using a mailing label. You can see Thomas has done it with some smaller envelopes, and I don't know if you can see from the picture, but he's handwritten the addresses. But again, if I don't have time, I'm using a mailing label, but I don't want my letterhead on it. And I don't want my letterhead in it when they open the letter. It's going to say, "Dear homeowner, I'm working with a young couple, Brian and Tiffany, who just had a baby, and they're looking to move into a home for their growing family. Their ideal home is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet with a pool. I don't know if your property meets that criteria, but if it does, or if you know somebody in the neighborhood with a home like that that's looking to sell, please call me. I may be able to sell your home without ever putting it on the market. Now, there's a couple keys to making this work. It's very specific. It's not, dear homeowner, I may have a buyer for your home. I'm describing the buyer. If I really want to add fuel to the fire, I'm putting a picture of Brian and Tiffany and their baby in the letter. But what tends to get more calls is before I mail the letter, I take a yellow sticky note and I handwrite, call my cell, and I write my cell phone number on the sticky note and I stick it on the letter. And then I mail 250 of those letters out. You can see from the next slide here, the results that Thomas got on his last mailing. Actually, Terry Borowski, she responded, been doing the same, already listed one and sold one listing from one I did a few weeks ago. That's the instant inventory mailing. Thomas says, thank you. I listed and sold 3 homes totaling $2 million in gross sale in 2015 doing this. I'm at it again. Thanks, Joe Nego. Joe is a partner in our company who came up with our instant inventory program. Now, I have a question for Thomas, and that is, if he had 3 homes that he generated $2 million in gross sales in 2015, why he ever stopped this. And when I see him in a few weeks at our peak experience, I'm going to ask him about that, because the key to making this work is consistency. If you mail out one set of these letters to 250 homes, you may get a response. In all likelihood, you will not. But if every month that I'm working with that buyer, I send out another 250 to the same people, and if every buyer I'm working with, I follow that strategy with, I am going to create inventory for myself. Some of those homes are going to be perfect for my buyer. Some are not, but what I've identified is somebody who's looking to sell their home. So the key to this whole point is that you need to focus on what you can control. And then the last point, whoops, just lost here. Let's go back to, well, look at that. That's what happens when you allow me to do technology. Let's get it through this a little bit. Here, there's an easier way. Perfect. So the last key in success in any challenging market, and really any market, is that you have the golden ticket. And the golden ticket, as I've already mentioned, is opportunity. Where most people see challenge is where most opportunity lies. The key to taking advantage and using the golden ticket is 2 things. One, grit, and the other is a sequence of success. I'm going to talk about grit first because it's the part that nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to have grit. We all want to work at Tim Hortons and sell homes. But the most important part of this is a sequence of success. And let me just tell you, the sequence of success is this, and we've seen it in 20 years of coaching people. There is a sequence of success in everything that you do. And if you follow that sequence of success, it guarantees success. It has never failed. And I'm going to share that with you here in just a minute. But let's talk a little bit about grit. What's the definition of grit? Well, there are 2 definitions of grit: courage, resolve, strength of character. And I think that's a great definition of grit. If you're in the real estate industry at all, you have to have courage. It is not an easy business. Most people want it to be, and there is certainly a huge upside and huge potential of income. But in order to earn that, you've got to have courage. You've got to stay strong when other people are losing their heads. You also have to be resolved. You can't wait on the market to provide you an opportunity. You've got to see the opportunity in the marketplace and take advantage of it. And you have to have strength of character. The truth is this: if you're consistent in your lead generation, most days you are not going to generate a lead. The truth is this: if you're working with buyers in Toronto, most days you're not going to sell them a home. If you're representing a seller in Vancouver right now and their house has been on the market because things have stalled, the chances are today that home is not going to sell. You've got to have resolve, and you've got to have courage, and you've got to have strength of character. And if you stay with it, you'll sell the house and you'll help the buyer find a home. And if you're consistent in your lead generation, you do it day after day after day after day without fail, you will have a consistent and steady stream of leads. The second definition of grit, and I think just as impactful, is this: small, loose particles of stone or sand. Courage, resolve, strength of character. They all sound like big concepts. But the truth is, you have those in the small things. Grit is nothing but small, loose particles of stone or sand. You don't need to do hugely courageous things. You don't need to be resolved in a magnificent way. You don't have to have Herculean strength of character. You need to be courageous in the small things you do every day, in the crucial conversations you're having with your clients. You can't own their problem. You need to lead them through their problem. Have a small conversation with a troubled client today. You need to be resolved, but it doesn't need to be great resolve. It just needs to be resolved that, hey, every day I'm going to check in with my buyers and give them an update, even if the news isn't good. Every week I'm going to check in with my sellers and give them an update, even if the news isn't good. Every day I'm going to do something to generate a lead. And then you just have to have a small strength of character to overcome the ups and downs of this market. A little bit more on grit. There's a formula for grit in a great book called Grit, and that formula is this: talent times effort equals skill. You don't have to be the most talented person in the real estate industry to do well. If you have great talent, it might take less effort. But if you have mediocre talent, all you need to do is put a little more effort in it to improve your skill. So if you're struggling having crucial conversations with your clients, a little more effort. If you're struggling with your being consistent in your lead generation, a little more effort. It's exponential. A little more effort times the talent you have equals an increase in skill. And here's the beauty of this formula: skill times effort equals achievement. So as you give a little more effort, combine it with your talent, you'll gain more skill. As your skill increases and you give it a little more effort, you will achieve. Talent times effort equals skill. Skill times effort equals achievement. If you follow those formulas with the formula I'm going to share with you next, you cannot help but achieve any goal in any type of marketplace. And that is the sequence of success. Now, I put here focus on low-level goals. Again, the key is not, I want to sell 50 homes this year. You need to have that target. But if you want to sell 50 homes this year, it's what are you doing today to compel the leads for 50 homes? What conversations are you having today with buyers to reset their expectation? What conversations are you having today with sellers whose homes have been on the market because they thought they could get a higher price, and you know deep in your heart they need to reduce their price? So you want to focus on those low-level goals. You want to focus on how many calls you're going to make today, how many conversations you're going to have today. The 50 transactions will take care of themselves. And now the sequence of success formula. The sequence of success is this. And again, I don't want this to sound as a grandiose problem, but a promise. But we've seen this happen time and time and time again for 20 years. If you follow the sequence of success, you will have success. If you jump the sequence of success, you may have limited success, but will always lead to failure. Most people get frustrated because they try to jump the sequence of success. What is that sequence? It's this. If any of you have been to a Buffini event, you've probably seen Brian Buffini on stage with a set of crystal bowls that look like this: a big bowl at the bottom, a mid-sized bowl in the middle, and a small bowl at the top. And Brian will take blue liquid and pour into the top bowl. So the first bowl is stability. Now, outside of stability, just imagine you're looking just above stability. That's survival. So if you find yourself in survival, you're outside that first bowl. And what you want to do is you want to focus all of your energy, all of your attention into the stability bowl. If you're in survival, don't think about success. If you're in survival, you focus on stability. And when Brian's on stage, he'll pour the blue water into that bowl until it's just at the lip of the bowl. And then from stability, you'll move to success. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But the key to get from survival to stability. So if I'm in survival and I want to get stability, what I need to focus on are my habits. If I'm in survival in any area of my life, my habits are wrong. If I'm in survival in my business, I don't have good business habits. If I'm in survival in my finances, I don't have good financial habits. If I'm overweight, I don't have good health habits. So if I'm in survival, I want to focus on habits. So using our system as an example, if I'm in survival, what I want to do is I want to write a personal note to somebody in my database every single day. I want to make 5 calls to somebody in my database every single day. I don't care who. I want to build the habit of making 5 calls, writing a personal note, having lunch with somebody in my database. Then when I'm in stability, I'm going to move to success. And Brian will ask from stage, so if I'm in stability, I want to move success, where do I pour the water? And people will inevitably say in the middle bowl. And Brian says, no, you stay focused in the top bowl, and the top bowl will overflow into success. And what that means is once you've built the habits, you stay focused on your habits. You've got habits that have taken you to stability. Now you use those same habits, but what you do is you change your mindset. You change your thinking. So if I'm in survival, what I want to do right now is I'm making 5 calls every single day to somebody in my database. I don't care who. Once I'm in stability, now I'm going to change who I'm calling. I'm going to change my thinking about that. I'm going to call the people who I know are going to have the biggest impact on my business. Now I'm going to call 5 people a day who have referred me business in the past and who are likely to refer me business in the future before I call somebody else. And then if you want to get from success to significance, which is the last bowl, it's a change of heart. And what that means is I don't even think about. So it looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, and as I understand it, everything went through until I got to the sequence of success. And so if you're still working, if you're still on here, hoping to learn what the sequence of success is, let me share it with you 1 second here. So bear with me 1 second while I pull up the sequence of success slide for you. Let's see here. All right. So the point that I wanted to make with you is that there is always a sequence to success, and if you follow the sequence of success, you will always achieve success. And what happens with most people is they try to jump the sequence of success, and when you do that, a couple of things happen. One, either you don't achieve success or you achieve temporary success that leads again to failure. So let me go over real quickly with you the sequence of success. At the top of the bowl, before the first bowl, is survival. And the key, if you're in survival, is to get to the next level, which is stability. And if you've ever seen Brian from stage, you'll know he'll pour a blue water into this crystal bowl, showing that you're going to focus all of your attention, getting from survival to stability. And to do that is a focus on your habits. If you're in survival in any area of your life, you're there because your habits are not habits that are leading you to stability or success. So if you find yourself in survival in your business, you need to change your business habits. If you find yourself in survival economically, you need to change your financial habits. If you find yourself in survival in your health, you need to change your health habits. And once you cannot move from survival to success, you need to move through stability to success. So you'd want to focus on your habits. No big swing of the fence, just to focus on your daily habits. Once you're in stability, the next level is success. And what Brian will ask from stage is, where do you focus? And most people will say the middle bowl. And he says, no. You stay focused on pouring the water into the stability bowl. You stay focused on your habits. And as you pour the water into the stability bowl, it overflows into success. So you're going to focus on your habits to get to stability, and then you're going to maintain those habits to get to success. Now, the example I want to use is lead generation. If I'm in survival, if I don't have leads, if I'm in survival in my business, I want to focus on making lead generation a daily habit. So let's say it's calling 5 people a day in my database. If I'm in survival, I'm going to call 5 people a day in my database regardless of who they are. I'm just building the habit of calling 5 people. Once I have that habit in place and I'm in stability, now I want to change my thought about those habits. So to get from stability to success, I change my thinking. It's a change of thought. It's mental. So now I'm still calling 5 people a day, but I'm going to call the 5 people who are going to have the biggest impact on my business, people who have referred me in the past or who are likely to refer me. And then from success, I may someday achieve significance. And to get to significance, I stay focused on my habits, but the change is in my heart. Now calls is just something I do every single day. I make 15 calls a day and I don't even realize it because it's who I am. So from survival to stability, I change my habits. From stability to success, I maintain my habits, but I think differently about them. And then from success to significance, my habits have become who I am. And that is the sequence of success. And if you follow that sequence of success, you will always achieve success. But you have to go from stability to success to significance. Most people fail because they try to jump the sequence of success. So I've talked to you a little bit about grit, and I've talked to you a little bit about the sequence of success, and I've told you that the keys to changing, having success in any market, whether it's a challenging market or not, is that you need to change your perspective, that your perception is your reality. And you need to focus on what you can control. You can't control everything, so you need to focus on what you can control. And you have an opportunity. And that opportunity right now is in your challenge. So look at your challenge and find the opportunity there. Now, I'm a coach by heart, so it wouldn't be right for me to leave you without some action steps. And those action steps are this. I want you to, number one, reframe your challenge. Any challenge you're facing right now, pick one and reframe it. What's the opportunity in that challenge? I'm in a seller's market. The opportunity is to uncover people who want to sell their home and just don't know it yet. Reframe your challenge. Secondly, I want you to focus on one low-level goal. You might want to close 50 transactions this year. You're going to focus on the low-level goal that's going to get you there. Maybe it's writing 3 notes a day to people in your database. Maybe it's calling 5 people a day to people in your database. Maybe it's managing the expectation with all of your buyers. Pick one low-level goal that you're going to focus on for the next 30 days and do a 30-day reboot. Now, a 30-day reboot means this. I'm committed to that goal for the next 30 days, no matter what. 99% commitment is no commitment. A 30-day reboot is I'm 100% committed to achieving that low-level goal. So if my low-level goal is I'm going to call 5 people a day in my database, I'm calling 5 people a day every single day for the next 30 days. I'm going to build that habit. And then lastly, it's a blatant plug for Buffini Company. Get a coach. Now, the truth is, whether it's Buffini Company or another company or a mentor in your office, it doesn't matter. We are all better when we're working with a coach. A coach will give us perspective, a coach will challenge us, and a coach will draw out of us the potential we didn't even know was inside us. So reframe your challenge, focus on one low-level goal, and do a 30-day reboot. Those are no matter what. I would encourage y'all to get a coach. Now, I'm hopeful that I can take some questions. We are having some technical difficulties, but I do want to answer as many questions as you have. If for some reason we can't get the questions back and forth from Stephanie to me, I will do this. I will answer any question you have if you just message me on Twitter at Coach Dave McGhee. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll get some daily inspiration and motivation as well, but you don't need to follow me if you don't want. If you have a question for me based on what we talked about and I can't get to your answer today for some reason, just message me on Twitter and I will get back to you within 48 hours. I hope that has been helpful, and I hope that we are still on and that I can answer some questions for you. So Stephanie, are we still good to go? Looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Kevin Strasberg is asking, how do you motivate sellers in a market that is slower? You know, I think the key, Kevin, is this, is that all sellers have their intrinsic motivation, right? And I mentioned this early in the show, kind of tongue in cheek, but it's true. And that is, nobody wakes up, unless you're an investor, but even investors don't do this that often. Nobody wakes up and goes, hey, today's a great day for me to profit 200 grand from the sale of my home. There is something they want to achieve when they put their home on the market. It's getting closer to family. It's getting into a new school district. It's getting closer to an area where they have better walkability. The key to motivating them, so here's what happens a lot is seller decides to put their home on the market. They want to, and then for whatever reason doesn't sell, and you offer a price reduction, and they, nope, not motivated to reduce my price. Or you get an offer and the buyer wants a bunch of repairs done, and so no, I'm not going to do that. They forgot their motivation. They forgot what their own motivation was, why they put their home on the market to begin with. So the key as an agent, I talked about being consistent in your dealings with buyers and sellers. In my listing presentation, the thing that I would do with every single seller is uncover what their intrinsic motivation is. One way we teach people to do that at Buffini Company is, hey, Kevin, I'm waving a magic wand. At the end of this transaction, when your home is sold and you're moved into your new home, lay out for me the perfect scenario. What's that look like? That becomes their motivation. So when their home's on the market for 60 days and it hasn't had a showing and you know it needs a price reduction, you call them up and say, Kevin, it's Dave. Listen, as you know, we haven't had a showing in 60 days. I've been updating you every week. I think it's time for us to, the market's telling us we're produced a little bit high. We need to reduce our price. And in doing so, it's going to allow you to get closer to that school district so your kids can be in the schools they want to get into. So uncover their motivation in the beginning and then remind them of their motivation throughout the transaction. Hope that helps. How to work with frustrated and upset sellers. People are, it's a very unnerving transaction, right? It's the single largest financial transaction most people will find themselves in. As practitioners, we're in it every day. And so we often lose sight of how all-consuming that can be for a client, whether it's a buyer or a seller. And so I think the key here is, one, to set proper expectations in advance. Conflict arises when expectations differ. If you have a seller who's upset, they're not upset at you. They're upset that their expectations, what's happening, are different than their expectations. And so part of it is really setting clear expectations and truthful expectations up front. Another part of that is consistent communication. Again, if I'm working with a seller, a week does not go by that I'm not on the phone, not a text, not an email. I'm on the phone. I'm having a conversation with the seller, and I'm painting the picture for him. Hey, Mr. Seller, this week, absolutely nobody came by to see your house. 2 houses in the market in your neighborhood came onto the market and they're priced lower than us. 1 house went under contract, don't know what it sold for, but here's what it was priced at. I'm doing everything in my power to get your home sold. If this continues, the market might be telling us we need to reduce our price. Let's go another week and see what happens. I'll check in with you in a week. But the key is set proper expectations, consistent communication throughout the process, lead them towards their ultimate motivation, and don't take it personally. They're not upset with you. They're upset that their expectations are different than reality. We need to reset those expectations. Any other questions? Bear with me while we oh, that looks like it's all the questions. Great. Hey, I appreciate all your time. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. I hope you found value in it. As I said, if you have some questions later that you want to ask me, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or get connected with the people at Royal LePage, and they can get you in contact with me. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. And I really appreciate your time. Stephanie's having trouble with her mic back in the Brain Trust and Control Center, so she asked me to sign off for her too. So, really appreciate all of you and what you do. I really appreciate Royal LePage for having me on, and I know Royal LePage appreciates the work that you're doing for your clients and for the company. So thanks for joining us, and until next time, go out and make some good things happen. Take care.